Hey, good evening. We'll call the Hawarden City Council to order in Hawarden, Iowa on Wednesday, August the 22nd, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council and staff. Myself, Councilman Travis Olson is absent this evening. We'll start out with the regular approval of the August 8th, 2018 council meeting minutes. Number 1A, is there a motion for those approval?
So move.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. With a motion and a second, all in favor then of the August 8th, 2018 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Next is approval of our claims for this evening. We'll start with Rob for questions, please.
No question.
Thank you. Jen, any questions?
No questions.
John?
None, thanks.
Tim, any questions?
No.
Okay.
So
Here-
moved.
Been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor then of the August 22nd claims for payment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That again passes 4-0. Open business from the community. So we got to have community here to have that, so we'll move on to the mayor's report. Schools begin tomorrow in our community. Please watch carefully for children as they go to and from school activities. Please drive slower and be courteous to those that are walking or riding their bicycles. We welcome new families and teachers and administration to Hawarden. Please help us in making them feel welcome here. Also, many of our young people will be beginning or returning to college. Our best wishes to them for their success. Labor Day festivities are coming up quickly. Please think of volunteering your assistance to help, and also please work in making our community clean and tidy for the weekend. And also, Corey, thanks for putting in the letter from Alicia, who did an internship with your police department. I think that's valuable for the council members and others to know how well she did with her internship and how well your staff and everyone treated her while she was with us. So it's very important. Thank you. Are there any council comments this evening? Everybody's pretty quiet except myself, so we'll move on to somebody that talks a lot. Pam, anything?
Just have auditors here this week. Tomorrow will probably be their last day. To me, it seems like it's going really well. We'll find out. But, yeah, it's...
Good. Well, that's always, they always do a nice job for us, and that's important.
They really
for
do.
Our, our community citizens and staff to have that completed.
Yeah.
And we're going to buy them donuts or anything?
We're having egg bake in the morning.
Bake, all right. We'll be there for that then. Tom, egg bake tomorrow, just so you know. But
Looking forward to that.
anything else you have to say?
The seal coaters are in town, and they should be done tomorrow evening, hopefully. Another thing is our wastewater facility plan has been approved by the DNR. We just got that today. And the next step is to submit the plans and specifications for the wastewater plant upgrades. So it's moving along. So.
How long does that process take then, Tom? Do you know?
We're not sure.
Okay.
No.
Good. Well, that's a good first step with all of that. Good. Mike DeBryan, please.
Just a reminder about coming events, Iowa League of Cities Conference, September 12th through 14th. I believe so far Travis and I will be in attendance. If anybody else is interested, let me know. I understand it's during the work week. And so, Northwest Iowa Development Partner Meeting, September 19th at NCC. That's one that Adam Gregg is the keynote speaker at. If anybody wants to attend, Tom and I are going. Just let me know. It's 5 or 5:30. Till 7:30, I believe, is when the speaker starts. So if anybody wants to go, let us know. It's free to sign up. All they do is send an email. So Zach Miedema, one of our linemen, has tendered his resignation. Effective September 1, he's going to pursue family employment with his fiance's family. So he will be leaving September 1st. And then finally, Allison Wester has been working throughout the summer for us in the front office and with Pam. And we want to thank her for her work this summer. She's been a great help to the office staff as well as Pam. Her last day is Friday. She's going to return to Augustana to work on her accounting degree. Elementary. She'll be in her junior year, I believe, so our thanks to her for the help this summer.
And the development meetings at Sheldon, correct?
Yes.
And,
Yep. At their community center.
and the other one's at Council Bluffs this year,
Right.
correct? Okay, thanks. Travis, anything from your point of view over there?
Yes, next month I'll be going to Missouri River Energy Services meeting. It's a municipal power leadership academy, and that's open to council persons as well. If you're interested, let me know. I can get you some more information. But it'd be a, a half a day, the 19th in the afternoon, and then a morning on the 20th. That's in Sioux Falls.
All right, Corey.
All right. Once again, you stole what I was going to use with the school and the traffic and kids, but I'll reiterate on that again. It is really important. I know there's a lot of kids that will be walking to school for the first time, maybe going to the middle school, have a little bit longer of a walk. So please just be a little bit more cognizant of the kids out and about. Traffic's definitely going to increase, so you'll see us out and about a lot more, especially during these first few weeks, making sure everybody's getting where they're going safe. Secondly, we're still out there with nuisance abatements. I know we got a lot of rain here, a couple days, and it's hard for a lot of these people to get out and mow. So we've been getting quite a few complaints here these last couple of days. So if you're one of those people that just hasn't had time, please make a little bit of time and get that done. Same thing with any junk and stuff. Try to get that ready for our cleanup days that are coming up too. Parking, we have written, I think, just under 100 warnings to people, just enforcing the state law that we've had for a really, really long time, trying to make people more aware that we have to park the correct way because it's the safest way. A lot of compliance, still some people that might forget and park the other way. But we've been working with everybody trying to get that figured out. And if we can catch them and talk to them, we'd rather just have a verbal contact with them so they can understand and we can explain it to them. And it's amazing how, once you put it in perspective, how they realize that and they're more willing to comply. Another thing that I'm excited for, I know the city's doing their citywide garage sale. We have a lot of old unused items from the police department that we have. And we're planning on jumping in on that garage sale as well to try to, get some money back from some of the old things that we have that we're able to sell to the public. So when that garage sale is going on, we're going to open up the garage doors and have some stuff out so people can come and take a look. We have various items. I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you, from old flashlights and, just things like that you'd be amazed the people that are interested in that stuff. We've done it in the past in different places that I've worked, and it's always a good time. It's a good way to interact with the people too. So if you're out and about at those garage sales here in September, make sure you swing by and take a look at what we have. Other than that, just received my certification to be an instructor for reserve officers. So that's going to streamline our process for any of our part-time people that we have coming in. We won't have to send them to different places and have them go through the modules. I'll be able to teach almost half of the courses. And then once the council meets down at the academy, they're looking at whether or not I fit the criteria for a specialist for narcotics, and that'd just be another one that we can take off there as well. So other than that, everything's been going good. Our part-timers have been enjoying their summer so far. They've learned a lot, and they're just now starting school back up again. So it's exciting for them. They get to go back and tell some stories about their encounters, and they've really, really helped us out. So other than that, that's all I got.
All righty, thank you very much, and congratulations on your certification. That's very good. Jim, anything from you?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, all righty. Any questions of staff before we move on? Questions from council for staff?
No.
Okay, move on then to agenda item number 3. Jason, we'll have a hospital update, please.
Thank you. Well, we are also in the throes of our audit, and so we have the auditors, they're doing activity for this last fiscal year. For the budget, of course, it's a little bit tricky. Preliminarily, we're above budget for our facility. Of course, when the auditors come in and there's the factor of volume versus dollars, and there's a kind of a neutralizing effect, but we're hoping to be positive at the end of the year. The only unknown is the amount of IPER's contribution that the state will push to us, which do affect our financials. So that's the unknown, and we can't plan for that, but we just kind of, they push it out and we have to put it in the book. So, but September 13th, we're having our community appreciation picnic again in the park. So everybody's welcome. Everybody in the community is welcome to come for that. We usually have 250. We'd like to see 300-400 people if that's possible. So it's free. We do a free will donation, but if you don't have the dough, just come on out and enjoy, burgers and hot dogs and enjoy the atmosphere there. Just recently in the clinic, we put in a phone message reminder, so it sends you a message reminding you that you have a clinic appointment. And so I know a lot of dentists and those types of organizations have gone to that type of a phone reminding system, and so we've done that for the clinic, and so we're in the first month of that, so that's been kind of a new process for us. HRH had a laboratory inspection and also a trauma recertification, and we came out with that. It was great results, so that was good. Even though we have a new building, we find that with new buildings there always are little tweaks that we have to do. So one of the big challenges we've been facing is when people come in to the therapy department, the door is narrow, and the door hits them on the tail feather on the way in and out. So and it's difficult for people to get into it. So we have gotten some bids locally here to make it a wider door, and then also a push button for assistance so the door stays open. So we've gotten a lot of community complaints about that, and that was part of the budget process, and the board approved that last month to get that fixed. We're also, the employee engagement group in our organization is investigating what the logistics are for applying an American flag on the hospital campus. We believe that that's a great benefit to our area, and we'd like to see the American flag flying in the hospital. Outreach, we're starting this August a pain clinic. We have a CRNA that works over in Sioux Center but lives in Beersford, and we'll be doing some pain injections and those types of services. Also, we're still in the hunt for an ear, nose, and throat provider that wants to partner with us to be successful. And so we do have a lead, but it's going to take 6 months for them to be up and operational. So we'll continue to strive on that. And then also in October, we'll be starting to do some urology procedures in the organization. August 28th is our strategic planning session. Mike is planning to attend that, and so we'll be doing that at the library. The other activities that we're doing behind the scenes is a website overhaul. So our current website is dated and difficult to work with, and so we have partnered with another company to do a whole new build on the website. So we're in the process of doing that, and hopefully our goal was to be out in August, but it looks like it might be another month yet. So some other things that I'd just like to mention, end of year, sometimes we look at stats just to see where the hospital was last year and it compared to this year. And so I just want to go over a few stats here. So acute care admissions, we were 33 more admissions than we were last year. So we had 33 more people in the bed than we did last year. Hospice, we were one less. Swing beds, we were one less, and swing bed is transition of care, so they either are in a tertiary care facility and then they come back for IV therapy or therapy for physical, occupational, or speech. Emergency room visits, we had 94 more from last year. We had 227 more laboratory tests done from last year. Radiology, we had 177 more radiology exams done from last year. Physical, occupational, and speech therapy, we had 404 more visits. Ambulatory surgery, which is an area of growth for us, we had 28 more surgeries than last year. And then in outpatients treated, and that would be for a variety of reasons, we had 393 more outpatient visits. And then for our outpatient specialty, that would be the cardiologist, the cancer doctor, those types of specialists. We had 250 more visits than we did last year. And so that's really a good positive growth for our organization, and hopefully we continue to ratchet those numbers up. So that's the end of my report. Are there any questions?
Still hearing a lot of good feedback from patients? Are those coming through the hospital?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of good feedback, especially, when patients walk in there and they get admitted to those nice rooms, we still get a lot of positive feedback. It's almost weekly we get really positive feedback on the facility and the looks of it, and we have visitors that come in and they're just amazed from if they've seen it before to what it is now. They go, wow, what a change. And so it really moves us up into, current state, and people go, yeah, this was definitely needed. So, yeah, we're seeing a lot of positive comments.
Any more attendance in the cafeteria from the public, or?
Yeah, we see quite a few. A lot of times people will mill in and mill out, and so, but yeah, we're seeing some. I mean, it's not a huge amount. I mean, we're not, taking a lot of business away from Central Cafe, but yeah, I mean, there are people that come up and family that, visitors that are visiting the family, they come up and they eat there, and so it's good. The 3D mammo program is going well. Our numbers in that are ticking up, so that's a good thing. And so we just continue to grow where we can. It's hard to, it's difficult to bring in additional services. It takes a lot of time, effort, and convincing power to get an outreach specialist to come in and do something. One of the things that we probably struggle the most with is overcoming the hurdle of, well, you used to not be able to do that, but now you can, or let's just go someplace else because we know that they can't. And trying to get over that mentality of, yes, we can, and trying to do educative things out in the community that, these are the services that we do have. My staff and a variety of others were over at the Alcester Fair, Union County Fair, just promoting Hawarden Regional Healthcare. Some of the EMS staff are also over there helping promote Hawarden and Hawarden Regional Healthcare. So we're just trying to get the word out and keeping that message clear that we do have a lot more things than you can anticipate. So ask first locally, and if we can't get you locally, we know somebody that can help you otherwise. But a lot of times, we still run under that thought process, well, they didn't do it in the past, they can't do it now, so why even go? And so it's just giving a consistent message that we can do a lot of things. So. And really the partnership with Dr. Locker and Dr. Neinkamp, there's a lot of surgeries we are doing, and that's a good thing. And I don't know if you've seen through KTIV some of our TV commercials that we have been pushing out there. So we've partnered with KTIV to do some TV ads. So.
Jason, thanks for the update.
Very welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
board
having me.
members and your great staff.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Agenda item number 4, again, is continued discussion on wastewater rate changes to pay for the wastewater plant upgrades. Mike or Tom or Travis, we'll let you run with that. And
Mike Malone was here last week and gave 2 different scenarios on raising the base rates and then the water rate change. At this point, it's, kind of, we know what we need, both of those scenarios with raising the base rate to $27 or $30, and then changing the water rate from $2 on the $27 base rate or $30, and then the $1.65 both of them will work, both of them net essentially the same amount of money. I did include a user's utility bill for the reading with the current readings, and then the what they would be with both rates. And essentially, it's just a couple dollars difference, so both will work. Unfortunately, you know, we're in the situation where we have to raise rates in order to pay for this. But you know, we're trying to do it so that we can upgrade our plant system for the years to come, as well as with the consumer in mind. So with that, we'll just open up the discussion and see what the council wishes to do.
I think I'm a little bit more partial to the $27 and then the $2 one. To me, it just seems like maybe if it's a little bit more to go over, there might be some more conservation of water and that kind of thing. So,
I think
and
that-
it doesn't
that
seem
would
like such a big jump,
That
maybe.
would give you your largest reason to curb back your consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only risk with that is then you kind of shortcome your net profits at the end, but
Right.
to pay for that. But yeah, I think the average feedback I've gotten was the lower base and going with the higher rate. It kind of impacts those that want to be more conservative a little better. So yeah, I think the $27 would be received a little better.
I think the majority of the project, or the payment for the project, is going to be made up with the base rate.
Right.
So, I mean, if we encourage savings on consumption, some conservation, I don't think that that's going to hurt us in the long run for the project.
Right.
Yeah, I like that better too. Lower base rate, although it's gonna cost more for the pond and the irrigating and stuff, but it makes more sense. Reward the people that are conserving.
A little easier to stay close to that 75% budgeted number we kind of threw out there. I think people would appreciate that.
We'll probably come back with a ordinance the second meeting of September, then for an ordinance change. We'll have 3 readings of that. That'll take us into about the 1st of November, somewhere in the first week of November by the time it's published, and would go into effect, unless you wanted to go into effect at a later time. But I'm thinking November is probably a good time. We would do half of the rate, or half of the proposed, what we think it's gonna be, and then on June 1st of the following year, fulfill the rest of the rate to bring it up to that $27 minimum charge, and then the $2 increase. Because by then we'll know exactly what our costs are gonna be.
Okay.
These are all based on estimations now, but once we get the bids in and things like that, we'll know exactly where we need to be, so.
Sounds good.
Good.
Move on then to agenda item number 5, and thank you for your discussion in that regard. This is discussion then on Municipal Code, Chapter 69 of parking regulations. And we've had some discussion. I've been absent the last number of meetings, so we'll continue with thoughts and discussion with that process, please.
Well, basically, in our travels and enforcing nuisance abatement and parking regulations, and receiving a lot of calls from the public, one of the issues was the fact that people were parking in their fronts of their driveway, or the fronts of their yard, and those on the corner lots were parking on the sides. We drove around and assessed the severity of it, and I think we were right at 19 or 20 residents in town that were doing it, and it's very, very noticeable. Upon further investigation, with these last rains, I noticed these people that are pulling out, it really is bringing mud and debris onto our sidewalks and our roadways. And we have one house in particular that basically their front yard has a lawn ornament. And there's nothing that we can do to remove that vehicle from their front yard, other than, enforcing something that, I think would best fit for everybody. There's a pickup that sits in a front yard that, as long as they maintain the registration on it, they can lawfully have it there. And there's undergrowth underneath of it. We know that parking on the grass, just from getting involved in this and researching it, parking on the grass is horrible for a vehicle. First and foremost is the condensation daily. Weather checks the tires, cracks the tires, rots the tires, and these may potentially be vehicles that are going to be going down our roadways at some point. But other than that, there's not enough airflow underneath these vehicles to prevent any rust. So now you're starting to get corrosion and other things happening underneath some of these vehicles that are parked. I've had 3 people approach me that just don't understand why we need to do something like that. One of the common themes that I hear is, well, this is just Hawarden. And, to me, that's not a very progressive stance. I think the things that Hawarden has done just from being here in the last, 8 months, seeing the direction that Hawarden's going, and our slogan is move forward in Hawarden, I think it takes that away if we're not willing to, look towards keeping the town at a whole looking a lot better, preserving our green space, and making our paths that we pay good money to create, keeping them clean for our public to walk and use on. I did talk to a motorcycle rider that was down at Casey's one day, and I asked him how he felt when he goes down the road and there's mud on the road because somebody backed out, and he's like, well, it's not bad if it's dry. If it's not dry, it's all over my pants, and if I'm going somewhere, then it really affects me. So I hear it from both sides. I understand both sides. I just have to side personally with the side of it's not done out of necessity. It's done out of convenience, in my opinion, and I don't think that the city as a whole should have to deal with that just based out of convenience. There are some cases, like you brought up last time, Jen, where technically or by code that may be seen as a situation where they'd be in violation, but I personally probably wouldn't enforce that because to me it doesn't fit what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep that green space. We're trying to make Hawarden a great place. Whether you live here and you drive home every day and you see it, or you're walking on the road, or if you're just passing through, even more so, I want the people that are just passing through to go, wow, that was a nice little town we just drove through. And the more progression we get, I think the better it is for everybody. And I think that's kind of where my scale is weighing. But it's still an issue, and we still drove around. I know that we asked you guys to look at some other codes. I don't know if you guys took the time to do any of that, or do you have any other questions or input on it? Or
Yeah. I guess at first I always had a little bit of reservations about it because, like you said, those 20 people that were doing it wrong are making it so now the whole town has to do this. It's that the people that were purposely doing it, incorrectly or not wanting to park in their space, and now we've got the whole. And that was my a little bit reserved about
Sure.
that one. I did talk to a few people and just wanted to have a conversation. How do you feel about it? And I think they get it. The idea of it is really, really good. But ultimately, it kind of comes down to there's just a need for time and an adjustment to our citizens so that they can understand what they need to do to comply with it.
Sure. And I think that's going to come from all of us. I think that, if this is a path that we do go down, we need to find a way to determine what we want an improved surface to be
Yeah.
and what we can do to, educate these people and explain to them. Because a lot of it is just, they get frustrated. I had a citizen come up and talk to me here, and what am I supposed to do? I can't afford to pave my whole yard, and I get that, but when you really take the time to look at it, I see a lot of other things that they could do to be in compliance. I see a lot of things that they could do that they're just not thinking about. And then when you bring that up, you see, oh, well, I guess I never thought of that. There are other alternatives, and it's such an issue throughout the nation that if you just Google, parking in the yard, there are products out there that they make that are very, very inexpensive that they can do that look great. There's all sorts of different things. It's just that I think that they're not educated enough on options that are available to them or things that they can do. So I agree. I think it's something that we would have to do collectively with Mike, with us, and you guys as well, to find out what it is we want to define as what, and help these people just to make it look
Yeah.
better and to help out our green
Yeah.
space.
And I had a comment, just through talking with somebody, they're like, okay, well, if I know what it is, I need time to get the funds to do that, to do those kind of things, and just, that would be kind of going off of John's comment, just to kind of use caution with that and give people time to
Sure.
really understand
Sure, and
what we're asking.
Anybody that's watched this, I've been nothing but an advocate for
Right.
for taking time. I mean, we can't change things that we want to change overnight. Everybody knows that, and just taking the time to go and talk to people, it's amazing. The rapport that you build with these people, and the ability to explain things to them and watch them understand, and then it makes sense. And I get that, and I offer once again to anybody that's watching that has any questions or wants any help with any of this, or maybe you don't understand any of the code enforcement aspect of it, give us a call, stop in. We're here. That's what we're here for. Another thing that I had kind of been passing around the office a little bit too is maybe at some point, maybe next spring, have a little town hall meeting to where we can explain both in English and Spanish to all of our citizens some of the code enforcements, and allow people to come to the community building and ask questions that they might have and be able to answer it for everybody. If we can take the time to do that, which I'm more than happy to do, I think it's going to help all of us as a whole. And I think that's what everybody's goal is what can we do as staff to make it better for everyone. So.
Yep. And I guess, my hope would be, for the citizens to really view something like this as their contribution to the town, to really make it pretty, to beautification, the quality of life, and hopefully they can take that as their contribution to
Right.
helping
And
it out.
I agree, and I would just ask all these people that are against it, and most of them I've talked to, it's always, well, so-and-so does this. And so I ask them to really ask themselves, am I doing this because it's out of necessity, or am I doing this because it's convenient? And if it's convenient, sometimes we have to not have such a convenience to have a betterment of society. And, we all do things that aren't convenient for us, like mowing our lawn, that we don't like to do all the time, but, you got to get it done, and it just makes it better for everybody. Property values go up, and then we're able to get, different types of businesses to come in. I just don't see how it's a bad thing for anybody.
Corey, I agree with you. When I went the other night from the grocery store to home, there were at least 6 or 7, and we're working hard as a city with the underground utilities and cleaning up those types of things, and we're working hard with the businesses and citizenry with the other property maintenance. I think this falls right underneath or right in line with all of that. So
I got 2 questions.
Yes.
Are we going to be enforcing this with businesses too? Are we going to,
Initially,
businesses that park a lot of vehicles and equipment and stuff?
absolutely, and that's something that has come up in topic. I know Mike and I have talked about it a little bit. Right now, we are looking solely at residential. I haven't done anything with the businesses, but I've seen it. most of the businesses that, I've noticed it on haven't been on a green space. I've seen some that are parking on the right-of-way and stuff like that on paved surfaces. I know of one business that has a lot of debris and other things in the right-of-way, and there's grass and other things build up around it, and we're working to address that situation. But for right now, I think we concentrate on the residential and give us some time to put everything together, because, and Jim would know more than I, would it have to be a separate thing for commercial?
Well, this ordinance is just residential.
Right.
Okay,
That's all
and
it is.
the other thing is having this front and side yard idea, so a guy could park 6 vehicles in his backyard and still drive them out to the front.
As
I
long
mean,
as he doesn't make something for a pathway that
he has to
shows
drive
up
on
to
a
40.
pathway, or is
That
that?
show, as long as he doesn't have the grass, not looking at it right now, but if it still shows indentation after 48 hours, that'd be a violation.
And how about if he just park stuff in their backyard? Is that legal?
Yeah,
If
they
they're
can
not
do that.
driving it?
No, they can't, well, they can park stuff in their backyard under
Is
that
that,
ordinance.
I would rather have some sort of number of saying you can't have 7 vehicles in your yard. Go park them in some parking
Well, then
garage or something, but don't,
we could go, I mean, there are a lot of alternative things that you can do too, Tim. I mean, you
but
can
I'm
have
just
it
saying,
that.
this idea of
Right.
throw it in your backyard, and it's still a junkyard. I mean, it's like, we've got several that are parking on the sides and vehicles that are rarely moving, like you
Right.
say.
And I think the reason why most of the ordinances throughout the state are done on the sides and the front of the properties is because it's the street side. It's what everybody sees. I think a lot of these people that have these vehicles that are, fixtures in their yard, our only laws right now are basically if they keep them registered, they're allowed to do that. If they don't register them, they have to be inside an enclosed building and basically permanently stored.
Could we change that? Could we make it?
Well, there are some too where they require that they be screened, you can plant them or park them, I shouldn't say plant them, well, that's what he's talking about, planting them, but
Right.
where you require that they be screened in, either through vegetation, shrubbery, or some type of a opaque fence, but, I guess I would say try to take a little bit of the problem at a time, honestly, and come back.
Yeah, but I'm just saying what one person's problem. I don't mind if you've got a nice car that you park on the side, if your dirt is relatively
Sure,
hard.
sure.
But the guys that have junkers all around,
Yeah,
there's some of that
I agree.
you don't need.
it's legitimate.
And I think, and I don't have the code in front of me, but maybe Mike would know, most of those vehicles have to have 4 inflated tires and whatnot. I
They
mean,
have to be licensed, registered, and in running order.
right.
They have to have the windows in them, everything like
Oh.
that, so they could actually put it on the road.
Right. Otherwise, we'll have infestations and, other things that we definitely don't want.
And I agree with him, we do run into that. They're barely in running order.
Yeah.
Costs very little to insure them, plates are very little, and, 99% of the time they sit.
But in my opinion, that'd be a whole nother ordinance, would it not? I mean, you could probably tie it to it.
Well, I think you'd want a different ordinance for a commercial area,
Right.
honestly. I think you'd want it different. That might be a place, in the past, I think we've had a couple of times when we sold property. One was down behind the old auto parts store where we originally required that they have a fence around it, that was opaque so that a certain height so that you couldn't see it. We put that in as a restriction in the deed. Now, I think the fence is down. The restriction probably still exists, but nobody's, enforcing it. That was, behind Doc Harvey's office. But, we could come up with an ordinance. I do think it'd be a little different it's a different problem. It's
Yeah.
more just the eyesight problem, not so much the dragging of the mud and leaving ruts in your property. I mean, I think, there was a business person that, towards the top of Main Street, that they fought with for many many years, sort of not fought with, but encouraged to try and change how they did things, and, you know, it's still off and on again. But, you know, I don't know, you will try to write whatever you guys want to see. I would take it separate, split it out, different ordinance. If you want to do it all at once, you can. You're going to put a pretty good job on the enforcement people to try and go around and do it all at once.
This might be the nice first step of perhaps many, or a few more if we, you know, if we get obviously a good response from obviously our citizenry and the community,
Yeah.
and get the community members behind all of this also.
I will say, just the people that have come and said that this is a great idea versus those that are against it, it's by far 50-1. So, and the people have been talking about it.
Yeah, I got the response of, if you think this is bad, go through this town.
Right.
Like, well, today there's nothing stopping that.
Right.
You know, it is a way to kind of manage that. Some of the other feedback was more in the, well, they pushed the car there. I don't think it runs. That's more the eyesight, which that doesn't cover. Maybe one item. There's several that park the vehicle behind the front of the house, the residence, but they use a dirt driveway to get there. So I don't know if
That's included in this.
I see the parking on the driveway, but it reads more of parking on it, not necessarily getting to and from.
Sure.
But that might be one of the,
I think
people might
it's-
decipher some of that.
Said it had to be connected by an all-season driveway,
Correct.
and if it's not, then if they're, you know, after 48 hours, that's one of the reasons in the winter there would be a little more, if it leaves an imprint in the vegetation after 48 hours. So that would open it up in the winter to being a little more flexible here too, you know, letting people, and you could, you know, you could run into someone, I guess, who's handicapped, and they'd have to maybe work with them on.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of our concerns when we first talked about this. If somebody can, you know, show that they're doing it out of necessity, hey, I'll get a group of people together and I'll do it on my own time, and we'll make something work so we can help you out, because that's what communities do. We help each other out. You know, it's just that I haven't faced that yet, you know, and until that comes, I guess I can't help anybody that's not doing it out of necessity.
Council, then would you like this ordinance then to be placed on the next agenda?
I'll be all right with that.
And then, of course, there'll be 3 readings, so that'll give them, you know, there's 2 months' worth of time to start preparing themselves. And as Corey said, we're always, as a community, always helpful, understanding. It's not like we're going to cuff them and go from there, so. Right, so we'll put this on the next agenda.
And
Thanks.
Tim, I'll make sure that I go through the commercial stuff as well, and then I'll get
I'm
with
just
you.
curious what
Sure, no,
what we were
absolutely.
doing, if we were going to go, because there are some.
Yep, no, I agree.
We're all trying to get to the,
Ratchet it up a little bit.
right, we're all trying to get to the finished product, so to
Right.
speak, with every entity here. So thanks so much for your work with that, Corey and Jim, and your discussion tonight. Agenda item number 6, this is Resolution 2018-26, authorizing the release of 2 mortgages from Lowly Investments, LLC Family First. Jim, want to talk with that, please?
Sure, that's when we were trying to get in a dental office, we gave an incentive. We had a couple of forgivable loans, and we secured them with mortgages. And the requirement was to continue to operate in a business, and then a certain amount was forgiven as they did that each month. And yeah, it would have been covered and forgiven in 2012 sometime. I think it was 5-year notes. And it was, and we didn't release them. And then somebody was doing a lien search, and they found them, and they were planning to close tonight on the transaction. So we're kind of hoping that you'd approve us releasing those mortgages.
It's been following that fire and that devastation, that was a great,
Been a wonderful thing, I think.
been a wonderful thing for our community. Is there a motion for Resolution 2018-26?
So moved.
Moved by John, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. Call for a roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2018-26.
Kurth,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2018-26 passes. The next three agenda items are essentially updating our code of ordinances to go with what the state tells us. Is that correct, Mike and Jim?
That's correct. Every year we get updates from Iowa codification, and they tell us that these have been amended, and we want to amend ours, so.
Other questions about the first ordinance 703 with the alcohol beverage control? Just a wording type of thing from what it looks like?
Just the wording, they took out wine and beer and just put any alcoholic beverage.
So moved.
Motion by John for ordinance number 703. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. Any other questions with ordinance 703? First reading, roll call vote, please, for this ordinance 703.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Kurth,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, ordinance 703 passes for the first reading. Ordinance number 704, this is a first reading in regards to pertaining to traffic regulations. Changes with that were what?
Where they just added commercial motor vehicles to the texting and using a mobile phone while driving a commercial motor vehicle.
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Roll call vote, please, then, for ordinance number 704, the first reading.
Clucky,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, ordinance 704 passes. Lastly, ordinance number 705, this is in regards to the first reading with the cigarette and tobacco permits. This is who we have to report these to, is that correct?
So we have to send our duplicate copy to them.
Okay, we'd like to be in good graces, so is there a motion for ordinance 705?
So moved.
Moved by Rob, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Finally, then, a roll call vote then for ordinance number 705, the first reading.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, ordinance first reading number 705. Consent agenda tonight is from Sportsman's Lanes for liquor license transfer on Saturday, September the 15th. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by John, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor of the consent agenda item, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 4-0. Our next regular stated meeting will be Wednesday, September 12th. Hope everybody has a great Labor Day celebration. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks again for your time this evening. City Council is adjourned.